Hello, my name is Jim McGillivray and this is the Pipe Box, your source for all things piping. If you find this video useful, please give it a like, and please subscribe to this YouTube channel to see more videos like this in future. There will be a sheet of exercises that accompany this video that you can download if you go back to the YouTube channel. Into the description of this video, there is a link to a PDF there with all of the exercises on it. Today I would like to talk to you about the dre movement, D-R-E, often known as an Eidri movement. It looks like this. It's primarily a pibroch movement. We see it throughout pibroch grounds and variations. And most importantly, it's also the back end of the all-important Taorluath movement in pibroch. So if you aspire to be a pibroch player, you'll need to learn a Taorluath, and to learn a Taorluath, you'll need to learn an Eidri. It's also found its way into light music. I first encountered it in John McFadgen's second book in the early 1970s in a tune called John Mackenzie's Fancy. And there are a couple of Eidris in the last part of that hornpipe. Those are Eidris in hornpipe time. In the first bar, shown here above my shoulder, you will see the Eidri movement broken down into 4 quarter notes. We have a low A to start, followed by an E grace note on low A, followed by an F grace note on low A, and ending on E. The second bar shows the movement as you would see it written out in a tune or in a pibroch. In both cases, I have used an arrow to show you exactly where the beat falls in the Eidri movement. And this is on the E grace note. The beat on the Eidri movement is always on the E grace note, and we'll see that a little bit later. So what I'd like to do first is a very slow and very simple exercise that will allow you to practice the Eidri movement in slow motion. Here it is. Make the grace notes crisply and try to make them exactly the same size, and make sure there's a little space in between them. That is the basic dre movement played in its simplest iteration, simply from low A. But we can play the movement from any note on the scale. For the purposes of this video, we're just going to deal with bottom hand notes and how to play the Eidri from bottom hand notes on the scale. As with any piece of complex technique, and by complex I mean a piece of technique with 2 or more grace notes in it, the first grace note is absolutely crucial. This happens in doublings, it happens in the Eidri as well. If we don't get that first grace note accurate, the rest of the movement will probably fail. The first grace note also needs to be on the beat. So the first grace note needs to be on the note and on the beat. What do I mean by on the note? Let me show you simply. To change from low G to low A with an E grace note, what I do is lift the low A and the E finger at the same time, and then the E finger comes down. So E and low A, same time, E finger comes down. If I'm playing a grace note going down from one note to another, for example, let's say I want to play an E grace note from B down to low A, the B finger is already up. I lift the E finger, and then the B finger and the E finger hit the chanter at exactly the same time. Playing with this level of accuracy is really important. That's what I mean by playing a grace note on the note. By playing a grace note on the beat, what I mean is this. If I'm playing that E grace note from B down to low A, I'm going to tap my foot when the E grace note hits the chanter. So in my E-dri movement, that beat will always be on the E grace note. Playing the E grace note accurately on the beat and on the note is so crucial that I have an exercise devoted entirely to the E grace note. Here it is. Now we're going to try to play the tre movement from the rest of the bottom hand notes. As I've mentioned, your E grace note is absolutely crucial here. So if you're not fully confident that you can play an accurate E grace note yet, be patient with exercise 2 until you feel some confidence with it. This exercise has 3 beats in every bar. Tap your foot throughout, but particularly make sure on the first beat of each bar that your E grace note hits the chanter when your foot hits the floor. Now let's play a tre exercise proper where we put the E and F grace notes a little closer together and play the movement with a bit of snap. Again, your E grace note accuracy is absolutely crucial. Here's the main tre exercise. So far, I've been focusing a lot on the E grace note in the tre movement. It's crucial that it be accurate and on the beat. The F grace note, of course, needs some consideration as well, and some of you might be having a little trouble playing that F grace note. It's not a note we usually associate with being a grace note. About the only place we play it as a grace note is in the E doubling. So you may find the F finger needs a little bit of strengthening in order to play the E-3 movement. What I'm going to give you now is an F grace note exercise. It's very simple, and it's just meant to build up strength in your F grace note. Here it is. As you develop your E grace note accuracy and your F grace note strength, you should have all the tools in place to develop a decent dre movement, and after that, a crunloa. Many Piobaireachd careers have started when someone sat down and learned how to play an Idri movement and then attached the crunloa to it. Could this be the start of your Piobaireachd career? From me, Jim McGillivray at the Pipe Box, good piping.